Okay, I'm late. I'm super late. I just read the first 5 volumes of Vinland Saga. It blew my mind, and now, of course, I want to do a panel deep dive about it. So, if you're interested in Vikings, father son themes, the meaning of life and death, stay tuned for this episode. Welcome to another episode of Panels in Progress. This is a panel deep dive where I take a comic or manga and I go over what stands out about it, looking at it artistically as a comic creator and a comic writer. And this episode is specifically about one manga called Vinland Saga, Makoto Yukimura. I gotta say, I've been hearing about Vinland Saga for years, and I mean years. All the YouTubers were talking about it at one point, and I did listen to those stories. It did sound like something that I wanted to read. However, it wasn't available on the Viz Media app. I didn't necessarily want to buy it at the time, and it just kind of got put on the back burner. But one fateful day, I walked into my half-price books, and there on the shelf were 5 volumes. I'm talking Vinland Saga 1, Book 2, Book 3, Book 4, and Book 5. Beautiful books. This was a lot of story. This was an unexpected story. I came for the Viking action, but I left with so much more. And this isn't even the entire story. It's still going on. I believe that the artist, the creator, is ending it very soon. But what can I say about this? The artwork is fantastic, but it's so much more than just about Vikings. Let me read the back of the very first book for you. It's called For Honor and Vengeance. As a child, Thorfinn sat at the feet of the great Leif Erikson and thrilled to wild tales of a land far to the west. But his youthful fantasies were shattered by a mercenary raid. Raised by the Vikings who murdered his family, Thorfinn became a terrifying warrior, forever seeking to kill the band's leader, Askeladd, and avenge his father. Sustaining Thorfinn through his ordeal are his pride in his family and his dreams of a fertile westward land, and a land without war or slavery, the land Leif called Vinland. This series, like I said, the art is beautiful, the art is amazing, which you will see in the top-down version very shortly. But what stands out about this series are the characters. The characters are everything, and I can't wait to talk about them. So let's switch to the top down and let's get into what makes this book series a master study in character arcs, rising arcs, falling arcs, redemption arcs, revenge arcs. Like, it's got it all. And even the side characters have backstories. It's definitely a masterpiece. Let's switch to top down. Alright, so we're going to start with the top down view. And this panel deep dive, even though I'd love to go through books 1 through 5, I'm only going to go at a surface level through book 1. Because if you're not interested in the story by book 1, then, well, I'm not sure what to say about that. So, Vinland Saga, Makoto Yukimura. There's so much going on in this book without having to be said that, of course, the artwork is amazing, but that's really only part of it. Yes, the artwork brings you into the story, but what's amazing about this story in particular is the characters. And I will say that the first chapter is a little bit disorienting because you have a lot of questions and you're not really sure what's going on. These first several pages, you literally are thrown into the middle of a battle. There's obviously 2 sides to the fight. You're not really sure what's going on, but death is happening immediately. Eventually, you will get introduced to one of our main characters, Askeladd, and then eventually Thorfinn as well. Now, in this little scenario, what's happening is that Askeladd wants Thorfinn to deliver a message, basically to start negotiations, and we get our first thing, the resistance of Thorfinn, or the first situation, the resistance of Thorfinn. He's like, promise me a reward. And Askeladd says, reward? If the negotiations are successful, you'll have 3 gold coins. I swear upon Tyr. And this actually excites those around. But here is where we actually start building the character of Thorfinn. Who asks for that shit? You know damn well what I want, Askeladd. Ooh, now that's a scary face. Just a bit of humor, that's all. But if that's what you want, boy, I'll need you to bring me the head of the commander, at least. And then Thorfinn gets off. Now, what I like about Yukimura's work is that you can always tell what's going on underneath. Like, just the way he does the dialogue, the way he has the characters interact with each other. You can already tell that there's some obvious tension between these two, but you don't know what. The way he uses facial expressions and subtlety and movements, it all helps build up to who these characters are. Like this little fat king dude, his whole depiction, his whole characterization, you know exactly what this character is like and how he is. And the way he adds realism to the Viking world, but he keeps it very gritty and cinematic throughout the artwork. And the way he adds realism to the Viking world, but he keeps it very gritty and cinematic throughout the artwork. But then there's moments like this where obviously there's no way this dude's head was this fat, but the way he's drawn it, it's just perfect in the depiction of a king. And I feel like he handles battle scenes, whether it's a large group of people versus another large group of people, or it's one versus one. I feel like he handles all of the scenes where you can follow the action, you can follow what's going on very clearly. And I mean, we're pretty thick into the story already. This first chapter is 90 pages for the first chapter, but this chapter lays the groundwork for everything that's going to come after it, because this is kind of like a preview. You can see as a young kid, as a teenage boy, he's very skilled, very fast, and he has a sort of energy about him. Here's another moment where the king, his vault, his treasure has been raided, and just like how he sets up this moment. And what's crazy is, so in the scene, Thorfinn has done what he's supposed to do. They actually left him because they didn't think he was going to make it back alive. But they're surprised that he did come back alive. He drops the head. Look at the glare. Like this malice that's just drawn into the eyes. You had a deal. You can't back out now. I, Thorfinn, son of Thors, warrior of Iceland, upon my father's blade, do seek a duel with Askeladd to avenge my father's death. And I mean, this was a really long setup to the story, but it was well worth it, well worth the read. And I just want to get into the characters a little bit more. This second story, or the second chapter, this is where Askeladd and Thorfinn are about to duel each other. And you can see the difference, the confidence, the anger. It's all here. Like, the way he draws, the emotions, the characters, included with the dialogue. You can tell so much by how he handles these two characters interacting with each other. And I love these breaks. The shift, the tone shift. Without actually reading the dialogue, you can still see how smug, how arrogant Askeladd is. The anger, the energy, like, reading the story is one thing, but how deeply you begin to understand the characters' motivations, the characters' wants, desires, what angers them. It's all well done. And this is before you even get to the other part of the story. So this is kind of like a pre-story to the story, because these first chapters are going to show you the dynamic between Thorfinn and Askeladd, while once the story goes back to the beginning, back to before Askeladd was in Thorfinn's life, it takes you to meet Thors, which is Thorfinn's father. And the dynamic between these two was very different too. Like, the overall theme to me is not only about, it's not about war, it's more about fathers and sons and legacy and what it all means. And it's really a deep dive into character motivation and how well Yukimura handles Thorfinn's worldview from panel to panel through trauma and not a lot of exposition. Everything you learn about these characters, you're going to learn it through their perspective. I love how Yukimura has this overarching theme of fathers and sons, visually and as well as their thought process, the postures, the gaze, the light, direction, and panels, how everything compare and contrast. And you think that you don't need these backstories. And maybe there was a different way or another way he could have told the story, but the way he did decide to tell the story, I think it pushes his theme even more. We could look at the cycle of violence and how revenge is shown as hollow from the start. And within these pages, you can also feel that every action, every decision has a cost. That the choices that these characters make all have a cost. It all has meaning. And like I said, the artwork is amazing, of course. But it's the characters that really push the story. You get to know these characters. You get to know. I think it's interesting, like, to see how you can take a character that was, as a young boy, so sweet and so innocent and turn him into this cold, hateful person. And you get to find out why. And then you get to see Thor's, his father, as the father character. But as tension rises in that village, you get to also see, oh, his father had a whole life before he settled into this land that we don't know about. And how his decisions in the past have come to haunt him in his present. And then there's ramifications on that. Another great thing about Vinland Saga is you get to care and know about the main characters of the story, but you also get a rich cast of side characters, and you get to see their little interactions and how they come together and how they're viewing the main characters. Vinland Saga, beyond the art, is truly a great case study for why it's important to build strong characters for your narratives, why it's important to have rich characters that you know what they want, you know what their goal is, and you might not understand them, but you might not understand everything about them. But that's part of the story's mystery, is the deeper you get into the characters, the more you want to know, the more questions you have. And I have not finished the entire series, but because of all the groundwork that was laid in this first book, and then it only escalated, like each volume builds upon itself more and more. Even if you only read the first 5 volumes so far, I feel like the first 5 volumes is a story within itself. There is a shift within the 5th volume that was unexpected, but I'm still so involved into these characters and what's going on with them that I'm going to continue the series until its completion. That was my panel deep dive. I did not speak too much about the art, but you can see from the way these panels are drawn just how well he handles facial expression, how well he handles tense moments. Like this whole energy of Thor's, like, who has not had that energy before? But yeah, great series so far, amazing story, top-notch characters, and I'd love to do more understanding of, like, I'd love to do something more with the understanding of these characters. But the biggest takeaway that we can learn from this panel deep dive is how important your characters are to your story, and how important it is to know what they want and to know what's stopping them, because this book sets that up perfectly. We know what Thorfinn wants, which is to avenge his father's death, and we also know what's stopping him. That's Askeladd at this point. So that is the panel deep dive. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have read Vinland Saga, please let me know. Did you enjoy it as much as I have? Have you gotten further than the 5th volume? Let me know what I can expect. Or have you only just recently heard of this? Just like I'm just now getting into this, are you guys just getting into it as well? Let me know in the comment section below. I will be doing more panel deep dives on different manga as well as comics, of course. Please check out my other panel deep dives and my first chapter reviews. Hopefully you had some takeaways that helps you improve your story, because at the end of the day, that's what this channel is all about. How to tell the best possible stories and create better comics for our readers. See you next time.